Okay, what's up YouTube? Sunday morning, doing a little content covering this A-body Chevelle stuff. So it seems like A-body Chevelles maybe aren't as popular as they used to be, or maybe there's just less of them, or maybe they're just way too expensive, I don't know. But I've got this one up here on the rack. We developed this suspension kit for maybe in 2021, 2022, something like that. It works really good. We've got it on a couple of street cars, and it's been it's just fantastic. So it has a built-in anti-roll bar, has a massive amount of coilover adjustment to really like fine-tune that ride height, and it moves the control arms in. You get rod ends at all ends, misalignment bushings, all the pieces and all the parts and pieces. No welding required. The anti-roll bar tab is actually a bolt-on deal. And then you can use the, like this has got a Viking coilover on it, and it uses the T-bar still. So you got a coilover without any welding there. And then this adds all kinds of adjustments. So we just ended up finishing up this car. It has a low horsepower combination in it now, but knowing the guy that owns the car, that's not long for this world. So I imagine this thing will end up with a pretty hopped up deal. He's got another Chevelle that we're putting it's like 15 to 1700 horsepower LS combo in. So yeah, this stuff is designed to be robust. And you know, with all this, it's funny because you would think 1500 horsepower, like that was 20 years ago, that's saved for the ranks of you know, full-blown race cars, but not anymore, right? Like, I mean, it's been like this for a little while. Like, it's not very hard. Like, I drove the patina car to Verona yesterday and ran went 540 at like 100. I only went 127. I was off the throttle and coasting. You know, I didn't want to. The shutdown's short up there, so there's no reason to just burning the brakes down. So, but anyway, that's a total tangent. So this suspension kit is really the thought and premise behind it was to give a guy all the adjustments and all the strength that he needed to go rip a bottom 5-second pass, but something that was durable enough and that was still going to live on the street. That didn't take a lot of effort to upgrade on the car. So let's flip this thing around and let's check this out. All right, so here you go. Lower control arm bracket. I left this hole on the outside so you can put your tie down hook right there so you can tie the car down on the trailer still. This is kind of a different edition of the billet shock mount. I actually made a spring plate that used this shock mount as well. It wasn't very popular. I think I've made like 3 sets of them or something like that. This is just a lot of bolts and a lot of stuff going on, but it worked really well for keeping this bracket really flat because you don't have a lot of space from this axle centerline rearward, especially if you jump up to 3.5-inch axle diameter and you add a back brace, right? So you end up really crowded right here. So that was some of the motivation for making some room on the spring, and all of that was going to this bracket. It's got 12-point hardware on the backside. You know, the Allens sit nice in there, and then you got plenty of adjustment. You can flip this block over and go up. You could run this down. So there's a massive amount of adjustment. I recently, lots of you guys have already seen this housing support that I've been making. I made this really shallow one now. So basically the spacing, I've got this bracket where it's approximately 1 inch tall, 2 inches tall, and 3 inches tall. So I've actually can cover wherever this tube lands, I can cover quite a few applications now with it. And obviously it's meant for my super cool looking housing. The BK08 is just beautiful on this thing, looks fantastic. This really tailors this off. These are gonna get, I've got a pair of these for the 2 housings that I made. These are getting anodized next, so this will just look fantastic. Got all the brake lines all dialed in. You know, made sure to get the tabs on it before it went to powder coat. The upper control arm is split. I've actually widened the space between the arms slightly, and this pivot point is a little bit taller than the stock one, but it's because this would end up like buried in the side of it, which I know that there are some housings out there that guys have done, but it's going to be, you could still see that it's downhill even at the height that it's at right now. So this thing should be good and aggressive for smacking the radial down and making some good anti-squat. You see again, there's just the other side profile of it. Anti-roll bar is integrated into this housing bracket that fits in right there. I actually narrowed this width up so you can see that the rear end is, I think this thing's 49. And so we actually had to end up having to make this pocket right here for where the caliper goes. So there's just not a lot of space on this thing. It's a Wilwood brake with an internal park brake deal inside of it. And so we put the cable on the bottom and then the calipers here. You get the point, right? So this is that bracket that I was talking about. It's not tight, but this is just a trick little press brake piece. one of these holes is existing already and you just drill it out, and then you line this up and then you drill the other hole, and that bracket just bolts right in place. The anti-roll bar width is already set. I sell all this bracketry either welded or not welded. It just depends on how you want to go about it. But it needs to be, I have this width to make it so the anti-roll bar lands with those brackets right there. And then you can see up there that tie bar is the stock one. I also make a bracket that connects into this third hole that you see right there. And but has an eyelet, so you can use an eyelet up there instead. Quick performance for the gear cases and the axles on this one. Those guys always come through good for me. So we have the length on the anti-roll bar length. That's all dialed in. I have the lengths on all these control arms. Upper control arms, this bracket fits great. All the misalignments, all the stuff. So here's a little tech tip whilst we're talking about this. So you can see pretty much that the rod ends are, can you see? Nope, move the camera, Matt. Are bottomed out. So this thing is put together with all the control arms totally bottomed out. You're probably asking, well, why would you do that? What's nice is you know that you're starting from zero. So if you end up starting to turn this thing, you don't have one that has 3 threads out and one that has 7 threads out, right? So you end up with an uneven amount, and so this keeps that shank or that engagement in the tube the same. So that's kind of a cool little trick. You always want to make sure you got 4 to 5 threads out. So you see this has already been played with. That's, this is the first this is the not first mock-up. This is the final assembly, but nothing's actually been tightened up and finished. But you can see this is dialed in. So this control arm setup with these brackets, with all this stuff, could honestly be put on any car that has triangulated, 4-link configuration. Like technically you could put it on like a 3rd gen Camaro with a torque arm, and then you could totally put it on a Mustang if you wanted to, and that would allow you for all these adjustments and all these pieces. So it's something to consider. 3-inch, 3 1/4, or 3.5-inch housing. My housings are all 3.5, so that's my standard kind of stuff. So there you go. So there's the scheme, the scoop, the scam. Video's not very long, but hopefully it covers everything that you have questions about. I'm sure I didn't get all of it. If you have any questions, just let me know. Email, text, call, carrier pigeon, whatever. You got whatever you got. So I'm thinking that I know for sure that my brother when he made this pocket, that this press brake piece he made on the press brake, and he has the program. So I'm thinking that this pocket I could actually cut and bend ahead of time, and then you could put this up on the frame rail with a measurement from something, maybe this body mount right here to the center or to the edge, put that up there and cut that out, and then we could probably set you guys up with that pocket too, if that was something that you're interested in. So this guy really, I guess I should point out, why is the rear end is narrow? Why did I make the rear end so narrow? He wants like a 2-inch backspace wheel. He wants as much lip on this thing as possible, loves the look, and so that's kind of, part of the deal. So if you're gonna make it all anyways, why not make it to exactly what the guy wants? So that's where we're at, and that's what we've done. This thing looks fantastic. I love the BK08. So actually we have one. Let's have one. We got one more laying on the ground over here. I might edit this out of the video, I don't know. But there's a second one. This one goes in his other car that gets that. He has 2 of these A-bodies. So his other car gets that 1,500 horsepower pump gas deal. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So as always, thanks for watching. Hopefully if you're interested in any of this stuff, let me know. I'll help you out, get you figured out. And remember that this is like, the application is driven by the lengths of the control arms, the position, the centers of the anti-roll bar, and the width of where the control arms go on the chassis. So realistically, this could be adapted to all sorts of other things if you were so inclined. So if you like how that shock mount is and that keeps you nice and tight to the back of the housing, maybe that's an option for you. So let me know, and I'll catch you guys next time.